All right, everyone. It is another episode of Advanced Tactics, part two of the Dao Union. Previously, I had rated Dao Union as a D tier army, at least in 3.2. Sort of looking at 3.3. This particular episode may be, I don't know how much I can vouch for this work with 3.3. Everything's a little in flux, but I still sort of feel they're a little in the D tier range. So with that in mind, I did go ahead and just finish off this army. Yeah. So while we're at that, like, subscribe, and comment. I really appreciate everyone, the growth in the channel. A little surprising how fast it's growing, but no, I appreciate it. As always, I just hope that I can produce good quality content, a content that I always say again, I'm not a person who knows everything. I'm still learning this myself, but I hope, as always, this series um is about a conversation starter. I hope that when you see this work, you can say, "Oh, okay, good start. Give me some feedback. What can we do to improve it? Is this too powerful?" Right? So yeah, just appreciate everyone's feedback here. Another thing I would say as well, with 3.3 and just life, I love building these custom armies. Other people have reached out to me and asked to do a custom army on a particular faction, and I would really love to. I'm trying to. I want, especially the custom armies, to really just think it through and come up with, I think, with a good, solid, competitive custom army. Um, but also, if anyone would like help, I had one particular person sent a custom army. It's really awesome. So please, join my Discord. It's in the link in the description. Hey, I'd love to sort of see anyone else. And like I said, appreciate it. All right, so let's just get into it. So let's give some assumptions here. As always, playing against the official and sort of the other custom redesigned armies. So one of the things that's happening on my Discord, and I think it's happening other places, is trying to playtest these armies. I would love in the future to envision seeing kind of every army have their competitive redesigned custom army that is sort of specific for the competitive scene. I'll go back to this. I'm not interested in you know, uh, these armies becoming the standard OPR armies. I don't even want to approach it that, because I think all these armies really need a lot of playtesting. So that's something I'm thinking about. So I'm thinking about in terms of these power levels, right? I'd like to sort of use like the Robot Legions, Blessed Sisters, Orc Marauders as sort of, these are powerful armies, and I want to sort of get all the armies, I feel, up to that level. I'm always thinking about a 5 or 6 game GT that again, always trying to build that army that has a consistent play style, and that has, you can build a good all comers list, right? And I always like to clarify that context. I'm not thinking about maybe your local club if you're playing a person. I am building these, and part of the hard part of these custom armies is trying to make sure that these custom armies, while are unique, still can have a good all-comers list coming in. So no allies in a 3,000 point total. And again, I'll just reiterate, especially with 3.3 coming out, I'm sure this army and any future armies I make before 3.3 and this one, we need some play testing on these here. All right. So let's look at our previous EEK tier, D tier for Dow Army. I'm going to cover two things. One, we're going to cover the custom army, and then we're going to talk about a competitive list I create. All right. So what are my thoughts on the Dao Union? I want to create the army to be distinct through cooperation of buffing and supporting units. I sort of think of Dao as a little bit like Human Defense Force. I hope that when I do get to Human Defense Force, which I do want to get to, that the armies may be similar but also still distinct. But yeah, I think that this is one of these armies that I like the idea of giving them some very clear disadvantages. For instance, I'm really not giving them any sort of AP4 weapons in hand to hand. I want them to have a distinct disadvantage in hand to hand and have an advantage in shooting, an advantage to cooperation. That's my thought. I'm interested in making battle suits and stealth suits better. I think that people like to play these, and I think they're great models. And I think I really want to make these two particular units sort of central to the army. So I've just scrapped the spotting laser mechanic. I've just sort of scrapped. I've updated the spells to kind of support the play style, and I'll get into that when I go into the army. I've also modified some of the weapons. I've done a lot of removing indirect. So the current Dao unit has a lot of indirect, especially indirect on units that are ambushing it and stuff. And the thing is that indirect is only good really with artillery. The moment you start trying to put indirect on, battle suits and stuff, these things are going to be moving a lot. And it just I don't think one, I don't think having an indirect heavy army is going to be good competitively. Two, if it is, it's going to be annoying because people like the idea of having a counter for cover. And three, any sort of movement is going to heavily punish. I've generally been switching out all the indirect and the Dow weapons for lock on, which I think is a little better. It's a clear advantage, sort of mimics this marker light-ish functionality, although I have a similar mechanic to that. What without, it's sort of, I think it helps on both sides. I think that indirect is one of these rules that sort of it works best on specific units. Anyway, and then I'll cover the competitive lists. All right, so let's go into let's look at the army book first. All right, everyone. So this is the current DAO. I'm basically calling it a beta list right now. I don't feel it's here, and we'll talk about. So one thing I did add into this list here is I wanted some of the upgrades to be specifically targeted about +1 to shooting, right? So we don't have the marker light mechanic anymore. I've really replaced it with sort of this. I have it too, but I have basically the targeting array that once per activation before attacking, you just pick a unit within 18, so it's smaller than spotting later, but it's just an automatic one, right? And so targeting array 1, it's more expensive than spotting laser, but you are getting that consistency of automatically getting that +1 to hit, while also providing a little more counterplay because units still have to get within 18 inches. So I actually like this mechanic better than spotting laser. The 18 inches means the Dow does have to close some range. They can't just hide in the corner. I feel it's there. With Carnivore, you're going to notice I've basically added in the tribal units and the insectoids from, again, I looked at the 40K Codex, the 10th edition, looked at their current model selection, and I did pull those in. And I think pulling in some of the dogs from Kroot, similar units that I'm calling tribal, really work well. They help the army. So I've added in, like I said, you're going to see there's a lot of +1 to hits. I also add that into the spell, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I also added a few upgrades, like I have the inhibitor drone from the other book. I also have this one, Flashbang Pulse, which is a leader upgrade where you can just pick 2 enemy units and give them that -1 to hit. I have a company standard specifically on the bigger mechs. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to split I want the Dow army list. The hope is to create a good combined arms list where they've got to bring some mechs. They sort of have to bring some troops. That's some troops and some battle suits that can sort of do the targeting array. And then they've also got these big mechs, these big titans that can give the company standard. And you got the leaders can be able to do a little both. The idea being that they're sectioned off. All these buffs are sort of sectioned off into different groups, sort of encouraging that. That's the thought. So, hopefully it can play out eventually. Let's go to the modified spells here. So I want these spells to feel very Dow. So 2 spells are about shooting the Empower Bolts, but both of these spells are on the hold action. So the spells are powerful, but it's also, if you bring a caster, you're sort of trying to plan it out, right? There's a tactic going involved where that unit does have to hold. So I like that idea about giving some 2 powerful shooting buffs. One is +1 AP, and then guided aim is 2 units at +1 to hit, but both require that hold action. So I like that as a little bit of a limitation here. We've also the spell the damage spells, I've tweaked a few of them, mainly to especially the level 1s and 2s. I want them to be a little longer range, and then the level 3s are more short range. And I did keep in pacification. I actually think this is such a great spell in Dao Union. It just fits the army. And so I particularly like that spell. I kept it in. All right. So going through the army, let's go into just the battle suit elite. One of the things that I did give the battle suit elite, I did give him the targeting array where he's one of these units that can pick a unit, give it +1 to hit here. I've also made him. I've just noticed more and more that I like the more I'm building these custom lists, I like the idea of actually giving leaders multiple buffs. I'm gonna try it. Is it too powerful? I started doing it with Battle Brothers, and I realized I actually like sort of this almost this chess mechanic where your leaders are really good at buffing units, and there is almost sort of an incentive to really go after those leaders because they can really just heavily buff up the army. I don't know. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. Because this particularly does get a lot of buffs. Gets the elemental power, flashbang, volley power. He gets targeting rate, and he can also get a company standard in it. And so he really can get a lot of buffs in there. And maybe if it's too much, that's fine. It's just something that I'm thinking about more and more. I did it with Battle Brothers. Could I try to do it with other armies where the leader becomes a lot more of that king in chess? Just the thought process here. Anyway, he's armed very similar. I did tweak. So you're going to notice some of the weapons I did tweak, mainly just lowering some of the range on some of them. But so I did keep the shield drone. Yeah. So I think the targeting, that's just a mistake I put in there twice. So that needs to get removed. All right. So the battle suit, though, he's pretty good. I did, again, specifically pull out ambush and his booster, ambush and flying. I like, so the battle suits, one thing is that I want the Dao to be a little more less specific to the current 10th edition codex. I'd love people to bring non 40K mechs, and maybe those mechs are, just walking around. So I have pulled out the booster. I made it I did this with the battle suits as well. I've made just this ambush and flying and upgrade so that you can have more mechs that are just sort of ground pounders. So yeah, the battle suit elite. So I did this before. You're going to notice I pulled out the Mystic. I'll get to the Mystic in a second, but you're going to notice the Grunt Leader doesn't have caster spells anymore. So he's got very similar upgrades to the Elite Battle Suit. I've got a little assault pistol for a bit of a if he wants to go a little more hand to hand. And just I've also just I think yeah, I'm just giving him the 3 attack base here. The main thing is that the leader is doing is that again got a lot of upgrade opportunity. And then I've got the Mystic. So again, I did this with Battle Brothers. I really liked it, which is just the caster is a specific unit. And he is actually, I made this caster really squishy. So I didn't want this caster to have any sort of melee abilities. I didn't want him to have any sort of upgrades. I think that the Dao caster now is very powerful, but he's also, even the models I noticed in 40K, these guys look really squishy. So I did do that, right? I made this caster specifically to just be, quality 5, def 6, extremely squishy. Do you put him in a squad or not? I like that, right? I love giving some real differentiation. And for Dao specifically, I feel that this gonna it gives them some powerful spells, but gives them a disadvantage, right? And that's what I'm trying to do is hey, here's a really powerful figure, but he's got that distinct disadvantage. All right. The grunt squads are generally not changed a lot. You're going to see this double targeting there. That's just a mistake. Again, all the squads that sort of were getting the spotting laser, it's targeting array now. So just that's the main thing. The mainly of the update profile hasn't changed. Like I said, the assault pistol now, since that's become a consistent thing I'm doing. The rest of these upgrades are pretty similar. Again, can go to their 30-inch or their double shot carbines. Not a lot's changed with the Grunt Squad other than just that change out from spotting laser to that targeting array. The Spotter Squad, actually, this could be too powerful, and I admit it, but here's a thought. So similar upgrades, right? They've got the snipers that can be upgraded to a rail or ion. One of the things in this squad I thought was maybe particularly a little spicy. Up to 3 models can have a targeting array. Now that's 150 points. This squad is very squishy, but at Def 5, is in other words, if you could actually have 3 targeting arrays in this squad, but it's very squishy and it's a lot of points that could just be easily lost. I mean, you could combo it up with 6 targeting arrays. Now, I've gone back and forth. Do I drop it down to 2 models with targeting arrays? I could, but I would rather sort of. My first thought is let's make this army a little more powerful, and it's always easy to sort of tone it down. I also don't know that anyone would really want to take 5 or 6 targeting arrays into this one squad because, again, it is really squishy. So I don't know. Like I said, this is one of these things that I can definitely pull back on and say, yeah, that's too much. But I'm just trying something. It's something that I'm just thinking about with this spotter squad. Something unique. Man, these squishy guys that can just themselves just in one turn toss a lot of +1s to hit on the models. And remember, this is still 18 inches, so it's a bit of a gamble. But anyway, it's me trying to really add some character into the Dow army. Let's go to the battle suits. Battle suits change a decent bit. So they did get the targeting matrix. Again, one of the things they do is they don't have ambush or flying. I think that that is something I did tweak some of it. I like one of the things I did like is I liked with the battle suits that so they still have their 2 bashes apiece. I have them as single bashes, but basically they aren't really good in hand to hand. They only really get 2 energy sword and 2 bashes, and I like that. I like the Dao. They do have some hand to hand capabilities, but they're not like they don't get energy fists. Is it too weak? I don't know. But still, it's like they aren't able to fight quite as good. They're really more of where they are currently as sort of a meat shield here. Again, they have similar upgrades than they used to with, like I said. And then the big thing is that they've got their upgrades. So if they want to have some longer range weapons, they don't have to bring in that, maybe they can just call them boosters or something. So yeah, the battle suits also, it opens up some opportunity for people to play mechs that are just themselves those battle suits from different armies or different model lines that don't have thrusters. The battle suits, I like the improvement here. Stealth suits the same way. I've added the targeting matrix. Sorry, some of this targeting area matrix. Oh yeah, the other thing I did with the battle suits. Let's cover this. I forgot to say this targeting matrix. So I wanted these battle suits to be a little better in shooting. I think these battle suits and the stealth suits, they're such a pivotal point about doubt that I did give the unit +1 to hit. So this is 20 points. This gives them +1 to hit. And then they've got a targeting array, which can pick other people +1. So the battle suits and the stealth suits actually are, with an upgrade, can actually get +1 to hit. Again, you can run them either way. Run them as a hand-to-hand unit or run them as a shooting unit. But I want these battle suits and stealth suits also to just be that sort of way. They can get that +1 to hit, and they can also give it out as well, and they still have the beacon. So, and actually, I think the stealth suits, other than that, didn't change much. I do like giving these 2 units that +1 to hit in shooting. Gun drones really didn't stay the same. I need to add back in their regen. Like I said, I'm still working on this army, but so they will have their regen upgrade. But I think that gun drones were good as is. Sniper drones, I think in generally were good as is. I think they're supposed to get some upgrades, but yeah, the sniper drones are good. So here is what in 40K terms are the crude, right? I've given them a scout and stealth upgrade, but this is actually some really solid chaff. I've given them a crude rifle. So again, they don't quite have the equipment that maybe the standard laser gun. Actually, they've got like a weapon that, is a little less. They've got that carnivore and that def 6. And actually, this actually reflects a lot more with 40K and the 40K 10th edition codex. Kroot are actually really lightly armored. Did give them ability to have an assault pistol and a close combat weapon, so it can be a little more hitty. But you notice here, I didn't give them any sort of real upgrades for their hand-to-hand weapons. Again, the tribal huntsmen, they can do some decent hand-to-hand, but not like it's not this heavy hitting. It's more of a stalling unit. Same thing with the tribal dogs. This is in the edition codex, and I gave them, and I love them. They're 60 points for a carnivore fast strider. I think I am. I've thought about giving them the scout upgrade. I just didn't want. I don't want the Tau army to be about. You notice I didn't even give any sort of buffs to their vicious bite. I sort of want this unit to just be sort of a really light attacker. Now I can go back and forth. Maybe we do add some buffs. Maybe we give them a scout or a poison upgrade. I can be up for that. But I'm trying to, again, I'm giving this army some really good shooting buffs. I want to really keep those hand-to-hand buffs on the trimmer side. So there you go. Got the insectoids, so this is matching I think they're called Vespids in the 10th edition codex. Ambush and flying, they come in their pulse carbines. I have actually given them, again, I like to provide just a little bit of, I like to give a little more flexibility with this assault and ambush. So, and I do this with a lot of ambush units when I actually just give them like a 9-inch gun, sort of better synergy. So they can actually run, they can do both. You can play them with the 18-inch, you ambush them in, and then they sort of play back, or you can just ambush them in right then and there, and they shoot something, and they sort of serve as almost a one and done unit. So I have the insectoids in there, fill a good gap as well, sort of a light, especially with both weapon variants, flexibility. All right, the heavy battle suit. So this is a big change that I've changed out. In one, the heavy battle suit in the original Dow Army was a 4-2, quality 4, def 2, and I've changed that. It's just actually he's a quality 3. He sort of shares the similar stats as sort of the battle suits, just with an extra quality. He's got similar upgrades here in the sense that so a lot of his upgrades are similar in the sense of weapons. Uh, Except I did give him an energy sword with a shield wall, and I actually allow him to give an extra energy sword. So he can actually rock on with like 12. He can actually get 2 energy swords with a shield wall, and he can get actually I'm sorry, yeah, and with that he can also get his little stomps. Again, he's decent in hand to hand. And that's what I want to try and show here is that like 12 attacks, he's actually decent, but there is no AP4. He's just AP1 rending. So the doubt you do have to have some hand-to-hand options in Grimdark Future. It's a close range game. But that particular reason, I didn't give them any AP4 or something. They only have those swords. So again, does it need some buffing? I don't know. One thing in the heavy battle suit, he's sort of, and I'll go into the Tide Titan. He's a light version of a Tide Titan. I didn't want people to only have the Tide Titan there as this sort of a bit of a heavier melee option. He does have some shooting options. So in here, actually, and the reason I did that is because for him and these Titans, I've given him company standard. Some of these bigger stealth units to sort of help the Dow on their morale, I've given them these company standards, but it's only on these sorts of units. And you'll notice that I won't go specifically into every one of the upgrades. I would say check out the weapon upgrades. You're going to notice some of the weapon upgrades. I've lowered the range on some of the weapons, some of them here and there. But the weapons are similar with some minor tweaks. I think, yeah, like the twin plasma carbine. I've given them a little more shooting power. So this is a tweak. He's technically got makes him a little more closer range. So there is some slight tweaks on the weapons, but this is a big overhaul for me, going from a 4-2 to a 3-3. Yeah, and you'll notice on these guys, they don't have the targeting matrix. So these big mechs, they can't provide the +1 to hit on that same unit. That's sort of relegated to the troops. These guys have the buff of the morale, trying to sort of segment these buffs to encourage a little more of a combined arms unit. So that's the heavy battle suit. Heavy stealth suit's the same way. The same def as the suits above it. It's just the tough change. And then I've just given it an extra quality, right? This is again, for smaller point games. I don't want the Tide Titan to be the only quality 3 vehicle or big guy in this army. So for smaller games, giving this heavy battle suit and heavy stealth suit sort of a budget option is good. Yeah, and so you'll notice the heavy stealth suit doesn't have the company standard, right? He's a little more stealthy. Yeah, let's go into the vehicle. So the hover tank, one of the things that I did is I've removed fast. I mean, remember, generally vehicles, I don't think that Dow vehicles have to be fast on a hover tank, especially with their loadout, which is extremely long range. I've removed a lot of the indirect because it's a little bit of a mobile firepower. Indirect on these tanks, this just doesn't synergize well. I did give them the homing missile, gave them the fast upgrade. I've actually given him the targeting upgrade. So actually their tanks and their vehicles actually can hit on 3s. So it's pricey, but this hover tank, and actually you can go through here and you can look. I actually beefed up some of the shooting on his weapons. He actually can actually shoot a little better with the ability to get this extra burst rifle. So this tank he can hit a little harder. He's a little cheaper without the fast. His weapon options are more opened up because he has less indirect weapons, and he can, like those big mechs, get that +1 to shooting. He's got the inhibitor drone as well and stealth as well. So the hover tank is, I feel, starting to become a tank that the Dow really can use effectively and to be a tool that I would worry about. The hover tank as well dropped the fast on it. So a budget option for Dow that also have the targeting matrix. Again, this similar upgrades. He can get some more upgrades himself. This tank can, but just also removing the fast. Their Dow tanks, they don't actually even look fast. They look a little slower. They look sort of clunky. So it's just something to think in mind. A little tweak to the tank, let's just say. All right, the Tide Titan I have tweaked also, one of which is that I've started him out, which I think all Titans is buffing an extra AP on this rending. Hey, he's already pretty expensive. I think that these Titans should have I'm doing this across the board where Titan sort of weapons have AP too. If their Stomp is AP2, their sword should be AP2. I've also tweaked the loadout on him to give him to save some points. I've actually given him these 2 homing missiles. So he can, if he's just running like this, he can just in once per game, 30 inch range, just sort of shoot his weapons. And then okay, he's just in combat. With that, I've given the ability to have a shield wall. So he's like this guy, and also I've given the company standard. So for bigger games, and that's something I want these Titans for Dow to be really impactful. So giving him the company standard is going to really help him. He's got similar upgrades. Like I said, I tweaked some of the upgrades on him, but generally it's the shield wall with the extra AP. I've switched out his weapons. He's only got these homing missiles, and he's got that company standard. So the Tide Titan, he's a little more of a hand-to-hand unit, but also this Titan doesn't even get any AP for. So I'm sort of making the Dow get their AP4 through shooting. All right, and the last is the Surge Titan. I felt the Surge Titan was pretty weak. And so one thing I did, I lowered the stomps to just 5 here. And then the other thing is, yeah, I did give him more fighting power. If you can go through here, some of the upgrades are similar. I removed fear on both of these Titans. I don't think that any person in hand-to-hand, even if it's a Titan, is going to be afraid of Dow in hand-to-hand. And so I'm actually dropping fear on a lot of these big guys. Fear just isn't a really good. I think I can add fear as an optional rule, and I'll do that. But generally speaking, I've actually in other armies been removing fear from a lot of the big guys. You can go specifically into. You'll notice that in this loadout, I really did maximize his shooting. So I've given him the ability to really get a lot of shots off here. Give him that extra. I think the pulse driver, I think I even may have added, I did tweak things. I don't remember the specifics, but I will tell you that I really did give this guy the ability to max out his shots and wounds. Um, make this guy really, make this guy really hit hard. I think the cluster rockets I doubled, in fact. So I want this, you're paying 800 points minimum for it. I want this thing to just hit and be impactful. And just that company standard for 10 more points, I think is great. All right, so that is the army list. I'm gonna post this list in the description. Go through it. Let me know what you think. This is a first draft as well. Let's get into a competitive army. All right, everyone. So let's look at a Dow competitive army. One of the things you're going to notice at 3,000 points has a lot of diversity. One of the things that I really want to do with all these custom armies is to allow a person to bring a competitive list with a lot of different models. Even of armies that are great, I always want to, even on like say even some of the A tier armies, like Blessed Sisters, I want to like tweak some of the models to just open up more opportunities. In this one, so I've got 2 leaders. I've got the grunt leader that has so he's got the company standard for the morale boost, and he's got the flashbang pulse. So just I know this army's going to get in hand to hand. I'm just going to provide some minuses to balance it out. I've got a Mystic running with Caster 3, so we've already seen some of those spells. So I've got 3 grunt squads. I think grunt squads they're great, and I think they're just great as in the Dow army. 2 with the pulse rifles with the limited shot, and then 1 with the shotguns with the limited shot. I've got a 6-man unit of battle suits. I did give these guys the ambush. These guys are the hand-to-hand units. So I've got these guys going in. They've still got some suit bursts, so they still have some decent shooting. 2 drone pulses. But these guys are sort of the hand-to-hand unit. I wouldn't necessarily see a unit that's going to like murder people. They can take out like a support squad or something, but they're really just there as sort of a nice solid meat shield that also now has some morale buffs that can keep them from just running away on a half. I've got a 3-man unit of stealth scouts that I've just put into those fusion carbines. You'll notice I didn't bring the ambush on the stealth suits. Again, that's an optional rule for stealth suits now. That I again, and you can actually bring flying and ambush as separate upgrades for stealth suits, but just giving them these fusion carbines, 18-inch range, a good way to sort of deal with big guys. I do have a 10-man unit of Gundrows, which are just running like they usually do. I didn't even put regen on them. Yeah, they're just running what they were running with before. And I've got, again, a 10-man unit of tribal huntsmen, some good chaff, as well as 2 5-man units of tribal hunt dogs. I know more chaff, but also some hand-to-hand. I've got a 10-man unit of insectoids that have got, they're ambushing in as well, and they've got those shred shotguns, but they're also only 210 points and that's going to be, they come in, they're going to be dropping 20 shots on people. So I'm playing them in this particular as more of the one and done squad. They're coming down, they're going to blow the mess out of something, and they're probably going to die, but like they've got quality 4, so even with the morale buff, they can stick around. I've got a hover tank. I wanted to show you here that you really here this hover tank is scary. The hover tank's almost 500 points. It's got a targeting matrix. It's hitting on a 3 in addition to all the other. And you're going to notice here that I do have some targeting arrays here and there. But also, that's the good thing with this army. Actually, I didn't even, in this particular army, I didn't even add any targeting arrays because I felt with the leader, the Mystic, and then the targeting matrices themselves, I just didn't feel it was necessary. So I like that. I like this particular army. I didn't need to bring it. It wasn't. I think the targeting array, the giving morale people +1 to hit, is powerful, but it's not necessary. So, and that hover tank, you can look pretty heavily equipped with that 30 to 36-inch range. And he's really split into shooting something with deadly and then shooting more light targets. And that's what that tank's going to do. It's going to pick a heavy target, pick a light target, shoot them both. Then, of course, I've got the TIE Titan with company standard as well. So you see I'm very interested in the morale checks here. He's just running stock with his shield wall. 635 is very good for this guy. He's got some pretty good hitting power. And in this version, Dao can't compete with other armies in their hitting power, but they've got some. Yeah. So, hey, that's the competitive army. I'll tell you, like, I like this army. It needs to get play tested, but I love that I could build an army without targeting array, while still I feel making targeting array that marker, that new sort of replacement for spotting laser, a pretty big deal. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I'd love to get feedback, especially, if there's anything that I'd love feedback on more, it's these videos about these custom armies. Like I really want these custom army videos. I want them to be there to get them out in front of the community. Hey, what's good? What's bad? Hey, I haven't play tested this. It's me working, but I do want to. Like, subscribe, and comment as always. Hey, if you're in Austin, join the Austin Alternative Gaming Freaks. Thank you all so much.